Hello, and welcome to the definitive guide to the unlimited Plex hardware encoding streams on Nvidia GeForce cards in Windows 10, also known as the NVENC Session Limit Unlock. I'm going to be using my example on an Nvidia GeForce 1060 6GB. I am going to do a bit of an introduction here, so if you'd like to get right to work, go ahead and click one of the timestamps down below. This is going to be cut into 3 distinctive sections. So, you want to use your Nvidia GeForce graphics card to transcode more videos onto your Plex server. You're going to need to be working in Windows 10 for this tutorial today. This was tested on Windows version 21H1. It should theoretically work back several versions and probably up in the future for several versions too, but this is the newest version for the time that I'm doing this. Here's the big thing: you will not need to delete your previous Plex indexes or files. Some of the tutorials out there tell you to do that. Do not do that. It is a waste of your processing time. It is a waste of your configuration time. Do not delete your previous Plex stuff. That is not needed to make this work properly. There will be 3 main parts of this guide, as I mentioned. The first will be removing any old drivers from the machine, because you've got to give it a blank slate if you want this to work properly. Secondarily, we're going to be installing and patching the new unlimited drivers. And that's going to be a pretty good section, but we're going to get through that. And last, we're going to be setting up a session bump, which is the final step, which basically takes your unlocked card and forces it to be allowed up to, in this case, the bump goes to 32 simultaneous sessions, which should be plenty. Now, while there is 1,000 reasons why all the guys on the forums will tell you don't waste your time trying to use your Nvidia GeForce card in Windows 10, I'm here to tell you that there are several good reasons to do that. 1, you might want to be in Windows 10 because that's what you know and that's what you have. 2, your Nvidia GeForce card that you have might have come from an old build and you've upgraded, and now you have this graphics card that would otherwise have not much to do, or you could sell it for cheap. But you want a more powerful Plex encoding experience, and that should be able to give it to you. And final, and the most important thing for me, is I also use my box as my remote game server. So I render games there and can play them at other locations. So if I'm taking a weak laptop, you can take your Nvidia Shield to play on and play your Steam stream to pretty much anywhere. So there's lots of good options if you have your Nvidia GeForce graphics card as your primary encode card on your Plex server. Now I'm going to take you in to see the server setup that I have, and then we're going to begin the tutorial. So here's my Plex server configuration. I've got monitoring set up. I've got temperature monitoring, my battery backup monitoring, and I can see what's currently being played. What I've got here is a case that was given to me by one of my friends. It's just an older case, and I got my Nvidia GeForce 1060 6GB down there. I've got an older i7 processor with 32 gigs of RAM. And of course an SSD for a boot drive and a couple of extra drives for storage. I got my main storage drive sitting over here. These are 8 terabytes apiece, and that gives me space for my movies plus some space for backup and things like that. Just a quick preface to the tutorial part. I will say all of the information I'm providing here is out there on the internet and available for you to find. What I ran into, which especially with the driver install and configuration, was that the information was not all in one spot. It was all kind of out there, and there are several people that have articles and top Google links that literally just miss a step or get it completely wrong and don't even bother looking through the forums, because half the posts are just saying the exact wrong information, which is that this doesn't work at all. And I'm here to tell you it definitely does work. So let's do it. Here we are in Windows 10. We're going to be completing this unlock. I'm actually going to be using the tutorial that I will provide a link to down below, as well as a Reddit article, which is where I'm going to be posting all this information to. So here we are for section 1. We're going to fully remove old GPU drivers, and we've got a link here. Of course, we need to allow. And that's going to immediately start our download of DDU, which I will launch. It's going to ask where we want to extract to. You're going to need to take note of that. This goes to our downloads folder. I took note, which just happens to be here in the downloads folder, and here it is, the extracted DDU. And we're just going to run it, display driver uninstall and uninstaller.exe. Tells me in this case it's the first time we ever launched it. Depending on your configuration and problems, it can make things worse, so make sure you have a backup, all that information, which is fine. The default checkboxes here should be just fine. It's detected that we are not in safe mode. It's recommended that we be in safe mode to complete this. In this case, we won't need to go to safe mode for here as long as you stop anything that is actively using the graphics card. So we're going to tell it that we have a GPU we need to clean up, and it's an Nvidia GPU. So this will make sure that there's no traces of any of your Nvidia GPU drivers. And then we want to click clean and restart. This is going to take a minute. It'll go through all of the things that you need, and then it'll restart the computer. I'll see you guys in just a second once it's back up. Alright, so we're back in Windows 10 from the restart. And that's basically it. That's uninstalling the graphics drivers. They're all uninstalled. They're completely removed. Now we're ready for section 2, which is actually installing the new Nvidia driver with the unlock. And this is probably what you're all really here for. So we're going to get right to work. And we'll be able to click on the next link, which is to the GitHub page for the drivers. Now, if we just scroll down here, it gives you some information on all the things we need. First thing I'm going to want to grab is my graphics drivers and the patches. So what we're going to do is just find the newest one that your system supports. So if you have an older graphics card, you might need to look up what the newest driver is that it actually works with. In this case, this 1060 works with the newest available drivers, which in this case today is 512.95. And so I'm going to want to grab the driver. I'm going to middle click to just automatically send it over. So then we're going to need to download both patches. So we're going to right click, save link as, save. In that case, I already grabbed that one. Right click, save link as, and save. Once you've done that, you should have, if we go to our downloads folder, you should have essentially the important files here, which is the driver install and the 2.1337 files, the NVENC code API and NVENC code API 64. You need both of those. All right, so we're going to move on. So then the next step is we're going to download the Win1337 Apply Patch tool. And that link will take us here. We're just going to right click, save link as, also to our downloads. We open up our downloads folder. Now we're going to right click, extract to the 1337 folder. So now we have that file. So now we need to install our Nvidia graphics driver. So that's the first thing that we downloaded. We're just going to double click on that. Alright, I'm just going to want to install the graphics driver. I don't want GeForce Experience. I don't want it recommending driver updates or trying to do anything funny in the background because it could mess up our unlock here. So just the graphics driver. Agree and continue. I'm just going to use Express in this case, which should be fine. It'll get to work. This is going to take a few minutes. The installer will tell you if it needs a restart. We'll click close. It didn't tell us it needed a restart. We're probably good to go from there. We had previously extracted our Win1337 apply patch, so we're going to click into that. And we're going to run this Win1337 apply patch version 1.9 by Fox. So the first thing it tells us to do is select a 1337 file. So we're going to go back to our downloads, which is where we know we had it. I'm just going to start with the one at the top. In this case, it's the NVENC code API. So now, that particular file, when we do that, we now have to navigate to this PC, local disk C, Windows, and in this case, we're going to go all the way down to syswow64. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see the NVENC code API.dll. If the file's not there, either your graphics driver didn't get installed all the way or you're in the wrong folder. We'll click open and we'll click patch. We should get a successful patch message which just says patched. If you get an error, that could mean either you've already installed it, that you installed the wrong version of the graphics driver versus the patch version you have, and those are two of the reasons. So we'll click OK. Then we're going to go back, same thing. Now we're going to go back to our downloads folder. We're going to select the other one, NVENC code API 64. And then we're going to go back to this PC, C, back down to Windows. In this case, we're going to go to System 32. Scroll all the way down. You should see the file. Same thing. I'm just going to go ahead and select it. Open. Alright, so I got a successful patch message here. If you are getting errors, there's several possibilities. One, you might need to restart your computer. But two, you probably have an application that's using the NVENC API already. So I couldn't obviously patch this while I was recording this with OBS because it was using that Encode.api. I had to exit out. But now that that's done, that's the end of installing your graphics driver and getting the patch set up. You might need to restart after that point, but I think we're actually going to be okay. So let's move on to the last part. That's the end of section 2, installing and configuring. So now we're just going to be here for section 3, using the session bump and setting it up to start with the computer. So first thing you're going to want to do is download the session bump. So the link is right here in the guide, and you'll see that immediately downloads the NVENC session limit bump. That just creates that file there. So what we're going to want to do, we're going to do a couple steps. First thing you're going to do here within the Explorer, click View. And you want to make sure that you can view file name extensions. You're going to need this. Then we're going to right click in the open space. Go down to New, Text Document. Once you have that, I'm going to rename this to NVENC Session Limit Bump Start, because this will be the file that I use to start it. And actually, I need to change that .txt to .bat, because we're going to turn this into a batch file. It's going to tell you it's going to mess it up, and it will. So then we're going to right click, edit. This is real easy. We're going to simply type in the name of the exe, NVENC Session Limit Bump.exe, and that'll tell it to look for the file within the folder that it's still in and run that. I'm going to go to the next line and click and tell it to pause. The reason why we're going to do that is so that it stays up on the screen and you can see if it works. So I save that. Now we're going to test it. So then what you'll get is information. It'll say it's trying to increase the session limit from 0 to 32. And then it'll tell you the session limit on GPU 0 is 32. So bump succeeded. So it worked. So that's how we know that our patching worked and now our bump worked. So now we're going to put this in a spot that it can start with the computer. What I like to do is I'll create a new folder, and I'm going to call it Session Bump. Just so you know, we're going to move both of our files. So we need our NVENC session limit bump.exe and the .bat to move into that folder. And then I'm going to take this, and I'm going to right-click Cut, and we're going to go to our C drive. I'm just going to put it right here in the C drive. So there it is. So that means that I won't accidentally delete it while it's in my downloads folder. It'll technically work from anywhere. The last thing we're going to want to do now is go to our Windows Startup folder, which I have linked to, which I have the path to right here, which is C, Program Data, Microsoft Windows, Start Menu, Startup. I'm just going to Control C that, or right click copy it, your choice. And then I can actually take that here and paste it into my Explorer, and that'll take me right to the folder. Obviously there's nothing in here right now, so now I'm simply going to right click on my NVENC session limit bump start.bat, and I'm going to create a shortcut. There it is, and I'm going to drag that over. I'm going to require escalation. So now when the computer starts, it will automatically use this link to run in this folder to start our session limit bump, which will bump our sessions up to 32 maximum on our graphics card, which is going to fix the issues that you were having without being able to do Plex. And that's it for the tutorial part. Now let's load down the computer and we will see how it works. In fact, I'm just going to do that while you guys are right here. Let's get rid of all of our stuff. Don't need any of this. I've got a link to Plex on the desktop. And there's a few things running, but I'm just going to start grabbing. I like to grab things like this Ice Age list because I can just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're going to play them. And we're going to tell it.
And me, as your coach, it's a...
I'm going to tell it to convert automatically. Play the next one. Tell it to convert automatically. And we're just going to continue with that until I get a reasonable number of these running. So here we are directly on the server monitoring side, and we see all these hardware transcodes. And we can actually go here to our task manager, and we'll see CPU usage, 10, 11, it's kind of bumping around, but then the GPU usage down here, same thing. It's jumping all around because we are encoding all of these files. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hardware encodes right now. I've tested with as many as 12, and I think it could do a lot more than that. So that's it for this tutorial. Thanks a lot for coming along, guys. I hope this helps you get your Plex server Nvidia GeForce graphics cards that are run on Windows 10 unlocked so you can transcode as many as you want. If this video helped you and you liked it, please hit the like button down below. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment. I am going to be monitoring comments on this video for a while, and hopefully some of the rest of the community can help too. I'll also have a link in the description here to the Reddit article, which I will be posting, and also there will be lots of comments and help available through the Plex subreddit. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.